What's going on, Bengals fans? Stone Shields on hand with another edition of Bengals Breakdown. And coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about Mel Kiper Jr. and his latest round one projection for the NFL draft. Cincinnati Bengals, of course, have that number 17 overall selection. We will be discussing the players that come before the number 17 overall selection, according to Mel Kiper, his predictions, and who he has mocked to the Cincinnati Bengals in round one. And of course, I will have my thoughts, opinions, and analysis on that as well. But before we get into that, make sure you guys hit that sub button if you have not done so already. We will be covering the Bengals draft very closely. And if you want more Bengals draft videos, we got you covered here at the channel, youtube.com/Bengals TV. All right, as I mentioned, Mel Kiper has released his latest round one predictions for the 2025 NFL Draft. The Bengals have the number 17 overall selection in the first round. I do not anticipate the Bengals moving off that spot. They don't trade. It's not something they do as an organization. I don't think there's a guy that they want to, go get. And I certainly don't think they will trade back either. I expect them to sit pat at that 17 spot and hopefully take the best defensive player available. That's kind of what I would do here at this point. And there's some mixed opinions on what position Cincinnati should target, whether it be a pass rush spot, whether it be a defensive back, whether it be a cornerback or a safety, perhaps a linebacker, somebody on the defensive side of the ball, maybe even an interior offensive lineman at that number 17 overall selection. As I mentioned, Bengals take a pick at number 17. Let's talk about who Mel mocked to all the other teams leading up to that number 17 overall selection. He's got Cam Ward going 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans. For what it's worth, I agree with him here. That is the quarterback 1 in my eyes. If I'm the Titans, I am definitely taking Cam Ward. Best player in the draft right there at number 2, Travis Hunter going to the Cleveland Browns, which, look, that would suck to play him twice a year. There's really no other way to say that. I think he's going to be a tremendous player, particularly on the defensive side of the football. Then you see some defensive guys start to go off the board with Abdul Carter, phenomenal player out of Penn State, interior guy, Michigan going 5th overall, Mason Graham, Mykel Williams, and Jalon Walker he's got going 7 and 8. I thought one of those guys, probably Williams, would slide back a little bit, but he's got him going in the top 10, and also another Michigan guy at that 9 spot with Will Johnson. 6 more picks to get to before we get to the Bengals' number 17 overall selection. He's got Kelvin Banks, the offensive tackle from Texas, going 11 to the San Francisco 49ers. He's got the Cowboys taking a receiver, second receiver behind Tetairoa McMilland is Luther Burden III. There at that 13 spot, Malaki Starks. Man, if he can slide back 4 spots, that would be a juicy pick for the Cincinnati Bengals. I would love to have Malaki Starks in Cincinnati. Think he'd be able to contribute right away. Tyler Warren at that tight end spot. Shemar Stewart is kind of a wild card guy. I'm not sure if he's going to go that high in the draft, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals had an opportunity to select him, but Mel's got him going 15 to the Cardinals, and Tyler Booker as the first interior offensive lineman at 16 to the Arizona Cardinals. We will talk about who Mel has mocked to the Bengals at 17 here in a second, but first, I want to know from you guys, which player do you want to draft in round one? Get that name for me in the comments of today's video. If that ad comes here on YouTube, that's totally fine. Take advantage of it. Get down in the comment section and let us know what you think. All right, Mel's got the Cincinnati Bengals taking Jihaad Campbell at the 17 overall spot from the University of Alabama. Now, I love Jihaad Campbell. Look, I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. I'm an Alabama fan, so I get pretty fired up at this pick, but he's a linebacker. And that I have some questions when it comes to that. I don't think that necessarily is the top of the line need for this Cincinnati Bengals football team. Can they improve at the linebacker spot? Absolutely. But I don't think this is priority number 1. He clearly was the best player for Alabama on the defensive side of the football last season. I think his speed is really, really incredible, and he's also really good in the run game as well, something that you didn't see a great job from Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt. He's pretty solid in coverage, additionally, and doesn't give up a ton of yards. That was something that your linebackers really struggled with, was your yards after the catch. Jihaad Campbell does a nice job of preventing that, and also can apply some pressure on the quarterback as well. Some important dates to know coming forward. We don't know exactly. Alabama has not announced when their pro day is. It's going to be sometime in March. It always is. I would imagine somewhere late teens, early 20s, somewhere in that range. That's going to be a very important date, obviously, for Jihaad Campbell to get some more eyeballs on him. and have all those NFL scouts there. Then shortly after that, you're talking about your top 30 visits, right? All the NFL teams have an opportunity to meet with their top 30 prospects. I would imagine lots of teams are going to want to meet with Jihaad, Campbell. And then in April, of course, is the NFL draft from the 24th to the 26th, end of the month. That is when we will find out who exactly Cincinnati will take at that number 17 position. More on this in a moment, but first, I want to give a shout-out to our friends over at Game Time. Sponsor of today's show is Game Time. Game Time is a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of different tickets. I got a couple of favorite features on Game Time. First is the seat views. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy with Game Time. Secondly is the all-in pricing. Toggling this feature up front allows you to see your total up front so you don't get hit with any of those surprise fees at checkout like some of those other ticketing companies can get you with. Really fired up about Red Spring Training. You can get some tickets to see those Cincinnati Redlegs. Tito Francona, the new manager of the Redlegs. I've got some high expectations for that baseball team here this year. Disappointing season for the Bengals, but I've got some optimism when it comes to the Cincinnati Reds. Get those spring training tickets courtesy of our friends over at Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, the lowest prices, all guaranteed. All right, let's get into this quote here from Mel Kiper Jr. in regards to Cincinnati taking Jihaad Campbell at that number 17 position. Mel said, how contract situations play out for T. Higgins and Jamar Chase could pivot the calculus, but it'd be nearly impossible for Cincinnati to ignore the defense. Without a doubt, that unit kept the Bengals from the playoffs this season, allowing 25.5 points per game. So I'm matching them with a prospect who does a little bit of everything on that side of the ball. Campbell had 112 tackles, 5 sacks, 12 run stops, and an interception this season. He's instinctive and explosive. I really like that analysis there from Mel Kiper Jr. I absolutely believe that Jihaad Campbell can do a ton of different things for you defensively, and that's really what you need, bringing in a guy that can do a bunch of different stuff for you and check off a lot of different boxes. So I don't hate the pick. This is what the Bengals linebacker depth chart looks like right now. Logan Wilson, of course, was banged up to end the season, missed the past few weeks with an injury, that knee issue as well. And Jermaine Pratt, we'll see. I think he's at the top of the line when it comes to potential Cincinnati Bengals cut candidates this offseason. But with Al Golden inevitably coming back, that certainly could change some stuff because Pratt, of course, played the best football of his career under Al Golden, but I'm kind of looking for an upgrade at that linebacker position. I'm confident Logan Wilson can kind of return to form from like 2022. Jermaine Pratt, on the other hand, not so sure. The Bengals might opt to move off of him. Akeem Davis-Gaither is a guy that came in for Cincinnati at that linebacker spot for Logan Wilson, and I wasn't really impressed. He had an opportunity to really make a splash and go get himself a big contract, either with the Bengals or another team, and he didn't really do that. The yards after the catch for Akeem Davis-Gaither was really a significant issue in 2025, and playing less snaps than Logan Wilson, he actually ended up giving up a lot more yards after the catch, so he didn't really stamp himself as a guy that could be sticking around for the future. I don't expect to see him back for the Bengals in 2025. Also, the leadership stuff from Jihaad Campbell is something that really kind of piques my interest. You really saw him in that new system with Kalen DeBoer, lots of turnover. He was one of those guys for Alabama that really stepped up from a leadership perspective and really kind of took the bull by the horns for this that football team and really did a nice job of that. So he's a young guy, obviously, but he acts a lot older than he really is. And I think maturity and stuff like that for a first-round pick is really, really important. So really kind of my thoughts on this whole situation are, don't love necessarily taking a linebacker, but I do love Mel's rationale. And if you take a guy like Jihaad Campbell, he can do a ton of stuff for you, and he's a great football player, and he's going to be a great football player in the NFL. It's just a matter of fact, or a matter of whether or not you want to check off another box with a DB or a pass rusher, an area that you really, really struggled with last season. Another opportunity for you guys to get involved with our show here at Bengals Breakdown. Would you draft Jihaad Campbell at number 17 overall? Let me know in the comments section. Type Y for yes or N for no.